Now playing.
Trying to force understanding out of someone who benefits from misunderstanding you will drain your spirit every single time.
This is the Thought Exchange.
Hey, how are you? Good, I hope. I hope you're doing great. If this is your first time here, welcome home. If not, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Let's get into it. There's a lesson that almost everybody learns eventually, but usually only after they've exhausted themselves trying to save a relationship, prove their intentions, or explain their heart over and over again. You cannot make someone understand a message they're not ready to receive. And I think what makes that truth hurt so much is that because most of us genuinely believe that if we communicate better, everything can be fixed. We believe clarity automatically creates understanding, so we replay conversations in our head. We rewrite texts before sending them. We rehearse difficult conversations in the shower, in the car, laying awake at 2 a.m. We tell ourselves, maybe I came off too harsh. Maybe I should explain it differently. Maybe they didn't understand what I meant. So we try again, more patience, more detail, more vulnerability, more emotional labor. And eventually you realize something heartbreaking. Some people fully understand you. They just don't want to accept what your words require them to confront. That changes everything. Because now it's no longer about communication, it's about accountability. See, sometimes understanding someone requires humility. It requires self-awareness. It requires emotional maturity. And not everyone is prepared for that. Some people would rather protect their ego than protect the relationship. Some people would rather paint you as difficult than admit that they mishandled you. Some people would rather call you too sensitive than to sit with the damage that they caused. And when you finally recognize that, you stop internalizing every misunderstanding as your personal failure. That was a lesson I had to learn the hard way, because when you care deeply, you naturally want to be understood. You want people to know your heart. You want your intentions to be seen correctly. You want the love that you gave to be acknowledged. You want the sacrifices to matter, especially when you know that you showed up with sincerity. But healing teaches you something uncomfortable. Not everybody's emotionally equipped to receive honesty. Some people only like the truth when it doesn't inconvenience them. In the moment that your truth introduces accountability, defensiveness enters the room. That's why some conversations never move forward. You think you're discussing the issue, but the other person is busy protecting their image of themselves. You're trying to heal, they're trying to avoid guilt. You're trying to communicate, they're trying to escape discomfort. And those things can never meet in terms of middle. That's why emotionally exhausting relationships often feel repetitive. You keep revisiting the same wound, the same conversation, the same disappointment, not because solutions don't exist, but because one person is seeking resolution while the other person is avoiding responsibility. And avoidance has a way of making honest people over-explain themselves. You start bringing receipts, screenshots, examples, timelines. You start overperforming clarity because you're desperate to be seen accurately. But the truth is, people committed to misunderstanding you will always move the goalposts. If you speak calmly, they'll say you're cold. If you become emotional, they say you're dramatic. If you create distance, they'll say you're selfish. If you stay, they'll continue disrespecting your boundaries. Because the issue was never your delivery. The issue is accepting your perspective will require change. And change is uncomfortable for people attached to old versions of themselves. I think one of the hardest parts of growth is realizing that closure will not always come through mutual understanding. Sometimes closure comes from acceptance. Accepting that they may never see your side, accepting that they may never apologize correctly. They may never fully understand the damage that they've caused. And you still have to continue healing anyway. That's maturity. Because emotional maturity is no longer needing everybody to validate your experience before you allow yourself to move forward. A lot of us stay emotionally trapped because we keep waiting for people to finally get it. But what if they never do? What if the peace you're looking for is on the other side of releasing that expectation completely? That changes your entire healing journey, because now your healing is no longer dependent on another person's awareness. Now your healing belongs to you. And I know how difficult it is, because deep down, most people actually want revenge. They want acknowledgement. They want someone to say, I understand how I hurt you. I see your pain. You deserve better. But some people are too emotionally disconnected from themselves to offer that honesty. And if you wait forever for emotionally unavailable people to become emotionally available, you delay your own peace. That's why boundaries matter so much. Boundaries aren't punishment. Boundaries are clarity. They're the moment you stop trying to sacrifice your mental health, trying to force understanding out of people who are invested in misunderstanding you. And I've realized something else too. The people who genuinely care about you usually don't make an effort to understand you. Maybe they won't get it perfect every time. Maybe they'll make mistakes, but there's effort, there's reflection, there's accountability. Healthy relationships aren't built on perfection. They're built on willingness. Willingness to listen, willingness to reflect, and willingness to repair. And that's how you know the difference between somebody's protecting the connection and somebody's protecting their ego. One leans towards understanding and the other leans towards defensiveness. Once you learn the distinction, you stop wasting so much energy on trying to convince people to care in ways that they lack the emotional capacity for. That realization hurts at first, but eventually it becomes freeing, because now you stop chasing validation from emotionally unavailable people. You stop begging to be understood by people who never listen. You stop shrinking your truth to make others comfortable. And you finally understand that peace isn't found in winning understanding. Peace is found in knowing your truth and no longer needing to perform emotional gymnastics to prove it. You realize your energy is sacred, your voice is sacred, and your healing deserves to exist beyond somebody else's readiness to receive it. If you've been carrying the weight of trying to make someone understand your heart, let this episode be your reminder. You can communicate clearly and still be misunderstood. You can love deeply and still be mishandled. You can explain yourself perfectly and still be not received correctly. That doesn't make your truth invalid. Sometimes people can't receive the message because the message threatens the versions of themselves they've desperately trying to protect. And that has nothing to do with your worth. At some point, healing sounds like this. I said what I needed to say. What you choose to do with it is no longer my responsibility. Trying to force understanding out of someone who benefits from misunderstanding you will drain your spirit every single time. That's all I have for you for this episode. If this spoke to you, share it with someone you think needs it. Comment, like, share, subscribe if that's what you want to do. As always, I want to thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts with you. See y'all next time. Love y'all. Peace.
This is The Thought Exchange with Tony Watts.